You ready, Ian?
Yes, sir.
All right. Love it, man. Anytime?
Anytime. Ready to go.
Cool. All right. Ian Alexander, welcome to Going Again podcast.
Man, I'm pumped to be here. It's my first ever, so.
All right.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Love
hey,
it,
we have our favorite libation.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Nice.
This is a Busch Light.
Cheers, Blair.
All right.
Breakfast beer.
All right, Ian. Well, I wasn't entirely sure how to introduce you. You're
Yeah.
a farmer here in Ontario,
Yes.
but your wife,
Lisa.
Lisa, yeah, her, what was it? Her grandfather owned and operated or started Frankie's Apple.
No, actually,
Store?
that was us who started that.
Okay.
Her family has been on that farm since 1930. So Lisa's fourth generation. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and we started there like 22 years ago now. I'd never farmed a day in my life until then, so.
What were you doing before that?
That's a pretty persuasive lady.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. Well, before that, I say construction, but it was underground work going across Canada. Like we used the railway to put the main trunk line of fiber optic communications right across Canada. So we worked for a company called Leadcore, and we plowed in all the product on the side of the railway, and we used CN and CP to go right across Canada twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I made it out as far as Calgary, Toronto to Calgary, and things like we did all the stretches coming into the CN Tower, right? So that's your main communication hub.
Wow.
So we did runs going from Windsor to Sarnia, back to Toronto, from Fort Erie down to Toronto, from the north, from the west, and like I pulled fiber optic into the belly of the CN Tower 3 times. It was cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that was before I got into farming. So we just got in doing dirt work. I was, trenching, boring, live fiber, directional berries type deal, you know.
So does digging those trenches come in handy now as a farmer?
Well, it makes you learn to know how to dig a hole.
That's where I was going.
Yeah. A lot of time on the end of a shovel.
Oh, that's
for
interesting.
sure.
So
Yeah.
how'd you get involved with that crossing Canada?
A buddy of mine, Stewie Hansen, and his brother were always kind of known in the construction industry for taking on some of these stuff, and they got me on. It started in Woodstock, right at the 59 highway crossing in Woodstock.
I know it well.
Yeah. And we went from there to Sarnia first, and then tripped back, and then to Toronto, and then we went from there to the north. It just started from that day, and we did it for about 7-8 years, I guess.
Okay, so now I don't know anything about
Yeah.
what you're talking about
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Right now, in front of my home, a company is
Putting in your little fiber.
I think they're putting in gas lines.
Okay. Yeah.
But digging up under the sidewalk and digging the
Yeah.
trenches and whatever, and however they're doing it, and then 2 or 3 blocks up the street, there's another truck that's
Yeah.
pulling it through. How do you actually dig a trench from Woodstock to Windsor?
Well, there's a lot of different methods you use. Like we were doing a direct burial, so we were using great big front end loaders, like the 980 loaders, but we had them on high rail gear. So one of them pulled, and the other one went backwards. And the company Braun Plows, they're out of Woodstock, actually. You know that they used to be out of there. Mm-hmm. We used one of their plows, so we would actually plow an orange plow con with a fiber optic in it, 4 feet deep. And when we went past, you never even knew we were there. So under roads, we'd have to do bores, like directional boring or putting pipe under and sidewalks and all crossings. But when it was open country, you just stuck this great big plow in the ground and just started trucking,
No kidding.
Yeah.
So basically, you are other than an existing highway, and you're boring under the highway from one side to the other. You have to build a tunnel.
Yeah, basically it's just shoving pipe under. Like there's different theories with that too. Like we used to do 20-foot lengths of steel pipe, and we'd put what we called a torpedo in the end of it. It's a pneumatic pounder. And we could pound pipes across like that on a straight level and put it under the track like that.
Oh, that's crazy.
But if it was, so we'd pound in a 20-foot length, we'd pull the pneumatic hammer out. It's about 4 feet long and about 120 pounds. And then you'd screw on another length of pipe and shove that one in too with it, right? But that's different than the directional bores that you see all the gas line going in with, where the guy's got a machine and he's shoving these rods in the ground, you know?
Yeah.
That's a directional bore, so they can shove those rods in the ground and they'll follow the tip with a locator. So they know if they're 4 feet deep, 8 feet deep, and they can follow that tip and tell them, okay, well, you got to come up here.
You know, the best part of this
God.
conversation so far is that I still don't know anything.
About underground work, yeah. You know, it's amazing because you go through the cities like London, Toronto. London, behind where the old fairgrounds used to be, behind Dundas and all that old area, you know. We used to call that the spaghetti factory because as soon as you dug a hole, it was just a mess of wires and runs and old copper cables, old new stuff. You can't dig 5 feet without ripping stuff out of the ground in some places.
Dig before you call.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or just find it the hard way.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy, man. Yeah, that is fascinating.
So it actually, like, it taught me a lot of stuff going forward. Like, we'd help, make our own equipment so it worked the way we want. Because it's just like anything you buy. If you buy a piece of new equipment, a lot of times you got to modify it.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Yeah.
we learned a lot of that. Learned a lot of underground work. Learned some good work ethic. We'd do 16 days on and get 5 days off. And it didn't matter where in the country you were.
Jeez.
That was a lot of work. It was a lot because we'd get up, you'd be out there for 5:36 in the morning. But if you got out there into the rail and then all of a sudden you had trains coming, you'd clear off the rail. All the trains would come through. You'd get back on the rail. But sometimes it'd be, 1 o'clock in the morning and you're waiting for that train to go by so you can get back on the rail just to get back to the crossing, just to get back to your hotel room. Right?
Well, that begs another question from Randy. How the hell do you get off the rail?
High rail gear. All of our equipment and our trucks all had high rail gear, just like CN or CP would.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Where you drive onto the rail and then they drop the steel wheels, you'd see it on the movies.
Okay. Yeah. So then when you're on the rail and you lower that, I guess the truck lowers onto its own tires
Yeah.
and you just drive off?
Yeah. Yeah. So when the rail goes down, the high rail gear, it's just basically a guide. So your rubber tires just barely touch the rail, so they still drive you and stop you.
Okay.
There's a 25 mile or 25 kilometer an hour speed limit, but
We never do that.
it gets in a lot of trouble because nobody abides by it.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
You put me on a rail, I'm going.
Oh yeah.
Different kind of stunting.
Yeah.
We used to have these little things called rail rockets, and they got two little boat seats beside each other on these 4 little high rail gear wheels about 4 inches. And it was just this little bench, and it had a carb sauce stuck to the side of it, and that was your engine for your go. So we could fly through the city and through the crossings because you'd set off the bells and the dingers so the arms would go down.
All right.
So the people would be sitting at their crossings, and you just see these 2 guys on the
Ding, 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 ding.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
We had a lot of fun.
Okay, so how did that move? How did you move into farming?
He met Lisa.
Yeah,
The farmer's
really.
daughter.
Yeah, I met Lisa in the spring of '96. So I think it was my second year in lead core, and I worked in that until we got married, which was in 2000. I got married on 2000, so I could never forget how many years we've been married.
Yeah. 100%.
Easy
It
math.
was a good move.
Easy math. And I had my own little business for a while once I quit lead core there because I don't know what I was doing, like lawn irrigation, landscaping, some underground work still again, And then, her dad was kind of getting bigger into the ginseng and bigger into the farming. So Lisa went back to the farm after we had our first boy, Gabe. And I could just kind of followed. I started there part-time because, lawn irrigation wasn't going the way I really wanted it to. Knew my body wasn't built for doing flagstone and landscape. It seemed really heavy.
Okay.
I'm working.
Yeah. So, it started out as part-time, but, and that was in 2002, I think. Yeah, 2002 probably, or maybe 2003 or something like that. And then by the, 2005 rolled around, we were full bore.
Right on.
So you mentioned ginseng. Am I saying it right?
Yep.
Is that your primary crop?
It was for the last 20 years that we've been farming, yeah.
Okay.
And we also, me and Lisa dabbled in apples for about 10 years too. We started planting our own orchard in '08, I think. I'd never planted an apple tree in my life. I thought it grew from a seed, to be honest. You know.
That's what I thought.
What does it
right
grow?
now? Yeah.
So what you do
What
is
does it grow from?
you can get different root stocks. So the root stocks usually come from something like, and I'm speaking out of cheek because I don't know anymore, but the root stock usually came from stuff like crab apple, different varieties, vigorous root stock, less vigorous. So then they would just graft the apple tree that you want onto that root stock. So
Really?
you'd get an apple tree that was about 2 years old on the root stock, and that's what you planted.
Okay, so you're getting a rootstock from a crab apple tree.
Yeah, like they're grafted, right? So I don't even, crab apple is probably like the old term because I know with the varieties, they just, they create their own rootstock now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had a crab apple tree on my property when I was a kid. It wasn't my property, it was my parents', I guess.
Sure.
But these little tiny bugger apples, little tiny things, they weren't great.
No, they're not for eating crab apples.
So then you would put a different make, like, I don't know,
Macintosh, Honeycrisp, Gala.
onto that rootstock.
Yeah, they would.
Now, does that make a hybrid apple?
Not a hybrid, but a lot of times when they go to a certain rootstock, it's about the soil you're in, and B, they'll make them disease prone. Some of them would be less prone to this disease, less prone to that disease.
Okay.
You know, so they can. It's just like anything, you know. Like if you want to breed it stronger, you can, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know, science anymore.
Wow.
It's insane.
Yeah. So we planted our first apple tree in '08. And we planted a 100-acre farm. And then Chudley's from Milton there bought 100 acres, and they hired us to plant that and manage it for them. So from 2008 until 2013, I planted 178,000 apple trees.
178,000.
Yeah.
Just I can't even.
It's hard to fathom. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And I was still learning how to grow them.
Hey, fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
That's a lot of apples.
Yeah, it was.
So on your personal farm, the 100 acres that you planted, how many trees would that be?
I think our personal farm was just over 80, and the other one was the remainder.
80,000 trees.
Yeah, and we didn't even do tight spacing. We didn't get into tight spacing until near the end of our plantings. But like trees, 30 years ago when you seen an apple orchard, you seen the trees that were 20 feet wide and 20 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
That's called old standard style. And now if you go by an orchard, they're planting these trees 24 inches apart in a row.
That doesn't give you
Okay.
a lot of room.
No, but it gives you more trees per acre, which you can then maintain better to give you a higher quality fruit instead of a bunch of bagged fruit off of a big tree. Because the big trees, they don't get the sunlight, you don't get the color, you don't get the sizing, Because when apple trees fill out, believe it or not, the hardest thing as being the apple farmer is watching it thinning. Excuse me. Because you'll have an entire tree full of apples. Well, you got to go through there and probably pull off 2/3 to 3/4 of those apples and just throw them on the ground when they're just in this stage, about an inch around, so that you can, so that the apples that do produce, they come to size properly, they get the color properly in the sunlight. See, the biggest problem with the apple industry is consumers believe that every apple is perfect and shiny and red and crispy and white inside.
They're not?
No, you can spray them to make them that.
Paint them.
Yeah, exactly. So it was different, and farming kind of in the 20 years that I've been in it, there's certain industries in farming that in the 20 years, I mean, your expenses have
Skyrocketed.
Oh my goodness. In the last 10 years, even so more.
Before we move on to anything else, I need to know, how do you pick these apples? Like I
Manpower.
picture you and Lisa with baskets on your elbows.
No, I am a hell of a farm manager. I am not much of a farmer. I'm a good farm manager. I've learned how to farm. I've learned how to grow things. But when it comes to the nuts and bolts of farming, I have two of my main guys, John and Jake. And then I have our offshore labor that comes in, our Jamaicans. And they're the nuts and bolts of it. Without those guys, I don't farm. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that to us one day when we were out.
Yeah, I'm a good manager of anything. I'm a good manager of manpower. I got a good creative mind for solving problems, and I don't mind pushing, and the guys don't mind working hard. So, treat your team right. They work hard for you.
100%.
Yeah.
Now,
all those apples that you pick off that you compromise for the other apples, they go anywhere?
On the ground.
Applesauce.
On the ground.
Applesauce.
Yeah, but where do they go from there?
Just they're no good. They're
They
not
just
even
decompose and
developed.
go in?
Yeah, they're just not even a developed
I
apple.
see.
They're like the size of a crab apple. So
Okay.
to say, right? When you
Okay.
go through and thin them. But it's hard watching guys thin apples, and you see all these apples on the ground. You're like, oh.
Yeah, dollar signs.
But if you leave them on, it breaks your tree. You don't get any size, so you got a bunch of juice apples or a bunch of bagger apples, which really don't pay.
Yeah, I see that. How you're trying to make room for other
Yeah.
apples to.
Quality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're trying to
cool.
get the best apple possible so that you get the best dollar. But in the end, it's kind of the same as anything. You just get what they're going to pay you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you guys developed the store.
Yeah. So once we were into the apples, I realized that every bin of apples I sent in, that my juice apples that were out of that didn't make a pack out, quality wise. Well, they would just take my juice apples and they'd sell it for, applesauce for kids' food or apple cider or whatever. So I was like, well, God, that's not really, and I didn't get any money from it. So I was like, geez. So I kept my juice apples and we put in a cider press and then put it in a little store. So the first year we opened was 2012, and I actually went and bought the cider press from a guy that I used to watch press it on that press when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from our hometown. It was kind of funny. So the first year we pressed cider, I pressed 7,000 liters, and in 2018 when we sold the orchard and shut the store, we pressed 111,000 liters.
That's a lot of juice.
Yeah, and I mean it just grew from there. We were selling Frankie's frozen meals, frozen like dinners and soups, all the preserves. We were serving lunch and breakfast 3 days a week. It was insane. It was just too much.
So it's incredibly popular.
Yeah, it did really well. Our cider was really good. We made the front of the Toronto Star for our cider.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my 15 minutes of fame.
Wicked.
Wow.
You're going to get 15
cool.
more.
There you go.
So what closed up the shop?
It was a couple of things. Like when Lisa and I come onto the farm, it was 250 acres that was getting run. It was a nice little mom and pop operation. At the time, it was like, that was a nice sized little farm operation. And by the time 2018 rolled around, I guess Chudley's got out of apples before I did. But at one point, we were running like almost 800 acres. I had 45 guys running around. We had 4 people in the kitchen, 3 in the office. Me and Lisa were the ones running it. And, God bless all my guys that do the farming part for me, but they're not the type of guys you can, you can give the spray program to and say, do that. They're my backbone and my brains when it comes to equipment, but it wasn't for the growing part, right?
So Chudley's is no longer involved with apples?
No, well, they are, but not down where we were.
Okay, copy.
Yeah, they sold that orchard out, and actually, my buddy who I got the job managing there, when I was done managing it, Ferg, he still manages for the company that's there. So,
Okay.
yeah, but that was like Chudley's. When we built theirs, we did I don't know, there's over 90,000 trees there, and we planted it and had a turnkey and running with the irrigation, the trees in, everything in 3 months' time. We planted over 90,000 trees, and it was all structured, so it was all posts and wires and cables, like the high density type of thing. So actually, they had a Ontario fruit growers tour come through, and they were coming there, and there was like originally 50 people that were coming or whatever on the tour, but when they heard they were stopping at Tom Chudley's place, there was 250 people at our tour. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun. It was nice. It was a fun time. It was busy, but I was getting to create equipment and make stuff and run guys, and it was fun. Design stuff.
Yeah.
Irrigation's kind of always been my thing. So like all the irrigation for the for the 100 acres, it was all underground and whatnot. I'd design all that and install all that. So little things that you learn along the way.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. I haven't heard any of this stuff before.
Yeah.
Yeah, farming's a whole different world. Like it really is a lifestyle. My buddy that I got the job managing that apple farm, I said, he says, I'm not a farmer. I said, well, neither am I, but I know that you're a very committed person when you start to something. And I said, this is like a lifestyle. It isn't a job. And him now running that orchard, it is a lifestyle to him. And he says if he can't run that orchard, and if they ever sell it, he'll just go back to bagging concrete or something.
Right. So those orchards remain today?
His does. It's they're refurbishing it. The one that I sold, unfortunately, the next two owners did not do it so well. So I always have the thing, when you make things look really pretty, people think it's easy.
Yeah.
And it ain't. It takes a lot to keep a farm crop, especially apples, because it's not like you can start fresh every year,
Right.
So it takes a lot to keep those crops and those farms looking good and producing good and something you can have some pride in.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But now when I drive by that place, I just have to turn my head.
Is it near your place?
Yeah, we have a farm right beside it still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It took me about 2 years of driving past it before I stopped having panic attacks, but
Wow.
serious.
So now then, how did you guys, was ginseng always a part of it, or did you?
No, Murray, Lisa's dad, Murray, has been growing ginseng since 85.
Okay.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that got into it, more of on a commercial scale. Him and a handful started kind of more planting. I mean, they started planting at quarter acre, half acre, and I think the most we ever planted in 1 year was 33 acres. Because it's like a 4-year-old crop, right?
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, so every year you plant so that when 4 years comes up, you start harvesting your 4-year-old crops, but
Right.
you always have a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a seedling guarding in the ground at the same time. So,
Sure.
I used to work at a sod farm,
yeah,
and they would a similar thing. We would
Yeah.
have, for this season, it would be all these fields. The next season, it's these
Yeah.
fields, so on and so forth.
yeah, you're rotating. How long do they grow the sod?
I don't
is it
know.
a year that they do it? I wonder. I was
I
wondering.
was young and dumb at the time and fooled around on those tractors and
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
pay much attention. So I really
I
don't
always wondered
know.
that. I always thought you'd be selling your farm an inch at a time.
Yeah. But I mean, when we came back for like a second season, those fields that we were on prior they were gone. I have no idea. They were like, I don't even know if the grass starts sprouting the following season. It must, but
I don't know how that would work. I don't know if they got to
Yeah.
do maybe they got to do a cover crop just to put stuff back in the dirt. I don't know.
I
Oh,
have
that's
no idea. That's a good question. I don't know how they did
I
that.
always wondered that. I've seen them roll it up in the great big things, and that's insane.
Yeah, those things were wild. They would just go.
I thought it'd be a great little thing, grow sod. But then I look at my front yard, and I think I better focus on mine first.
Yeah.
So growing ginseng, though, that's a pretty labor-intensive
It is, yeah.
operation.
Yep.
We camp outside of Brantford, and there's ginseng fields. Mm-hmm. And you guys have to cover that stuff with all those covers and the pipes and the wire.
Yeah, the shade has to go on it because the plants are ginseng very sensitive to the heat and the sun, right? It'll literally burn them. So,
But just watching them do it, it's incredible. Like I've actually pulled my truck over
Yeah.
to watch these guys work.
yeah, it's kind of neat. It'd be neat to have a time lapse of a drone just to watch it get covered, eh?
Well, that's
always
a
thought that
hell of a battery on the drone.
I don't know this at
Yeah.
all. I don't know anything about it.
Well,
Well,
when
the-
you come down Robson Road and on the left and right, they've
Sure.
got these fields covered with.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's what it is.
Oh,
that's
really?
over there, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's people pulling stuff out right now, but the biggest fear you have this time of year is you pull out a whole bunch of crop shade and whatnot, and then you get a snow or something, and it'll take down that tire structure. It'll snap.
Oh, the weight of the snow. Sure,
Yeah.
of course.
And we had 20 acres go down about 4 years ago, and it was a mess.
Wow.
Well, it's just all
completely
wide and flat.
flattened. It was just flat.
Was it easy to recover?
No, it's hard, man. It takes a lot of labor and about 2.5 weeks to get her all pulled back up. You got to go through, dig out the broken posts, start putting new posts in, get your cable back up on them, your cloths. It's a mess.
So it's a bit of a guesswork at the beginning of the season. Is that what?
Yeah, now I have a new rule: nothing before April 26th, because that's when it happened to us last.
Okay, okay. That's hilarious.
So why ginseng?
Well, it was a good little niche crop for a lot of years. Like, we've got one more planting we have one more harvest this year, and we're getting out of it
Okay.
because the industry has really taken a hit over the last 10 years, 15 years.
Okay.
When it started out, it was like a good little niche crop. Guys did small acreage of it, and quality and volume has gotten better over the years, because everything gets better, your sprays,
Sure.
your control uses. But when it was used as a niche crop in a secondary, it was good. It was good money in it, and everybody could make money. But farmers have this weird thing of going, geez, I wonder if I planted 100 acres of it a year. Mm. And that's what they end up doing. There's farmers that plant 100 and 150 acres a year. Well, you've got no market for that much of it.
Right.
And you just gave the buyer, which is only a handful of Chinese buyers that come over, like you're talking 8 or 10, maybe, probably 8. And now if there's an abundance, well,
Right.
nobody's fighting for it because there's lots out there. So it dwindles down your price.
Now, is it a climate thing? Like,
like
growing ginseng up here makes sense.
Yeah, it does. There's other places. BC grew it for a while in their little microclimates. Wisconsin grows some, not as much as we do. China tries to grow it, but they don't have the same value. And but Southern Ontario. Now I don't even know where I caught this stat from, but they've always said it. But Southern Ontario, the ginseng in Southern Ontario has the highest ginseng value of anywhere else in the world.
Wow, really?
I'm gonna brag about that all day.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll start telling everybody.
So what I find interesting is that ginseng is really well known, sort of a Chinese thing.
Yeah.
So if they can't grow it and we grow it here, how did it turn out to be that?
It was, and again, I'm going to just kind of go by memory in my little Rolodex here, but I think it was somewhere 1780s or 1790s that it was first found around here as an herbal. So that's when I think they started trading it with China, almost like a spice per se.
So it didn't originate in China?
No, it's originally from here. Yeah, it didn't originate in China, but the Chinese, they'll sort out anything that they feel is good for them.
No, that's interesting.
Wow.
When we were out at your place last week, you gave us some ginseng to chew on, which I think is like that licorice root kind of thing when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's like very bitter, kind of bittery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it though.
Yeah, me too.
When we're curing it, I have it in my mouth all day.
That's awesome.
So it's native to Ontario.
Yeah, that's what I believe, yes. I don't think it was... And I think probably places in like Wisconsin, Appalachians, in the mountains, it's probably native to too.
As well, sure.
Yeah, but I just know the history from around here a little bit. And gosh, there was a farmer that was out by Vanessa, and I can't remember his name. And Lisa's gonna go, I told you that was that name. But anyway, it was a farm that was one of the original farmers that started growing it commercially, and this is going like way back when they started doing it. I'm going way back when this farmer started. But then there started to be some large little farmers that got into it, just little niche things. But as soon as the tobacco farmers started getting into it, they started to mechanicalize it and make it faster and easier to grow. So
of course.
They started growing more and more and more, and then the market's flooded.
Yeah.
Farmers are their worst enemy.
Interesting.
They really are. Love them all to pieces. They're all like salt of the earth, a lot of them, but they are their own worst enemy when it comes to volume and, supply and demand.
Fascinating.
And our country shouldn't be bringing in products from other countries if our country can grow it.
Agreed.
Okay, that's a big thing going on right now. I mean, the political climate is obviously changing incredibly.
Before we get into the political thing,
Sure.
what is ginseng used for? I personally have never purchased ginseng. I don't know where to purchase ginseng. Can you just buy it at Zehrs?
I don't know if you can buy the tablets. I don't know what quality you're getting.
Oh, it's a tablet thing.
You can get ginseng in ground in a tablet. You can get it in a liquid form. The Chinese use it in their foods. They'll grate it. They sell it as gifts.
Yeah, can't you get it like a
root.
twig of it or root of it or whatever
Yeah.
at Zehrs or something?
Yeah, if you go down to Highway 24 there, Great Canadian Ginseng, he's right. It's got a great big ginseng factory around the corner, like massive.
Really?
Which Alex is a nice guy in that, but I wouldn't put that where the farmers are, because when we sell for $16 a pound and you go in there and you see it packaged for $120 a pound, you're going, okay, there's something going on here.
Interesting.
But there's like on their fence, like for him to take a box of ginseng, I think they have like 200 and some odd different grades that they'll pull out of that, you know, and a farmer just says, well, that's a pretty nice root. Look at the big ones, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Right, yeah.
That's fascinating. So what is it? What does it do? What does ginseng
Well,
do for
the
it?
Chinese believe it's good for everything from blood pressure to your energy levels to your manliness and
Like
everything else.
Hold your hand up high.
Yes.
Yeah. I understood.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's weird, but
Let's get some of that ginseng in here,
Yeah.
you know? It's a,
I always say, like,
Men in this
you know,
room today.
8 billion Chinese people can't be wrong.
100%. But speaking of that, and speaking of the political thing, there's a lot of agriculture. There's a lot of land being sold off, and it's my understanding that the Chinese are coming in and purchasing farmland.
Well, anybody from another country can afford our land more than we can.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like it's always been like that. Like when, you know, I grew up in Norwich, and there's a huge Dutch community that is in Norwich and all around that area now. And, you know, bless their souls, any town that they come into, the town ends up getting cleaned up, looks better, has stores, functions nice, you know, because a lot of these little towns in southern Ontario, if you get into them, you know, there's nothing there for them, right? So Norwich, when they came into Norwich, the Dutch did, you know, it's different selling 12 acres of land in Holland compared to selling 12 acres of land here. From Holland, you come over here with enough money to buy a couple hundred acres, right? And I think that's what drove a lot of it in the first stages of it, you know?
Interesting. I understand that Manitoba and Saskatchewan have laws on the books to prevent foreign entities from investing and purchasing farmland.
It's not a bad idea. It really isn't.
I may be wrong, but
Well, look at the States and how much land China's bought up there.
Oh,
You know,
man.
I don't think any country would really be keen with that. And not just ours, or not just the States, and not just because it's China buying it, but I mean,
well, it just seems like a way to move in China
Yeah.
to infiltrate or whatever. I don't understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I also understand that a lot of the land that has been purchased in the United States is fairly close proximity to military facilities.
Huh.
yeah, invasion by population.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a whole other subject. That's a whole other subject.
But I mean, it's farming will take its lumps with what's going on, but in the end, you know, farmers will just keep on trudging on.
But at the, you know, we rely on it, obviously.
Yeah.
We rely on farming huge.
Yeah.
Like, it's really foolish to think otherwise. Everything
Yeah.
we eat,
You have to. Yeah.
vegetable or meat,
Yeah.
like it's ridiculous.
We've got
But now,
big veggie
you know,
fields
you
down.
hear about them creating synthetic meats and these kinds of things. Are they completely trying to destroy farming or natural and everything?
Our bodies.
Yeah, and our bodies, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know who thought that's a good direction to go, but
Like crickets.
yeah, I'd rather eat a cricket than synthetic meat. At least I know that thing was real.
Well, that's true. That's the truth, man.
Can you imagine getting a plate of cricket legs?
Barbecued or not?
Go to the pub.
Depends,
Yeah.
depends on how we're cooking them.
I'm gonna have hot sauce on mine.
Yeah, I'd like to get 1,000, please.
Yeah, I'll take 1,000.
Just a medium, sorry, is what you call it.
I don't even. That's enough. That's hilarious.
Family pack.
Yeah, family pack. Oh man. Are you seeing that in your region at all? Are you seeing any? I don't really know how to ask it, but some kind of attack on what's going on.
I don't know. I don't pay attention enough to it, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, I try to keep it pretty simple in my life, because
Right.
if I think about this stuff too long, it'll drive me crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you. But you know, I remember we chatted a bit about China or other farmers and low prices and this and that, and you know, taking it away from us and giving it to everyone else. What the hell?
Well, I don't
Wow.
know. Our government seems to like spending money on other countries and other people instead of our own, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And we have an election in what?
Yeah.
2 days?
coming up,
3
yeah.
days?
No, I mean, it doesn't seem to matter what government is in charge as far as like helping the farmers out. I mean sometimes it's not as good as others, but you know, if you, as a farmer, even a ginseng farmer, you have a bad year, you have a couple of bad years, then, you know, you get subsidized, but you have to put money into that program to get subsidized, you know. And again, Lisa would know all the names of the programs that we're involved in. But if you have bad years, you know, the government does step in and top you up, but you have to invest into those programs.
Right.
So they do help that way, you know. But I think a lot of the reason they have to help that way is because they've let our agricultural industry go to the way it is. And you can, you know, like apples, Canadian apples, well, you know, we're at almost $18 an hour labor for an offshore labor part of the program, because you pay him a couple of cents more than minimum wage, so say 17.25, 17.50
So,
or whatever,
yeah.
somewhere in there. So we're paying that for minimum wage labor for the guys that, for the guys that are doing the work. But the States is paying like $6, $7, $8 an hour. Well, you can't compete with that price. So when their apples come in, yeah, the grocery stores buy them from over the border because they're paying less on the dollar.
Well, maybe not anymore.
Not anymore. I don't think anymore, right? So who knows what that'll do? Like, I don't know how that affects the guys that are growing the vegetables around us, the fruit around us, because there's a lot of acres. Like a couple of the farmers, between like 2 veggie farmers around us, I think there's probably, I don't know, there's probably got to be 7,000 or 8,000 acres of vegetables at least.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
But who are they selling to then?
I think a lot of theirs is just food terminal kind of marketing. And I was up in the one guy's booth the one time, and he's got computer screens in front of him on the market, you know, so he can read that and sell it as it is and tell the guys they got to switch pack this. So they got to be selling it as it comes in and is getting packed, right?
That's fascinating.
So it stays fresh, and they have, obviously, I imagine they all have their own contracts and whatnot, and that they fulfill. But there's a lot of vegetables out there, and there's a lot of fruit grown in our area.
I vision a farmer sitting on a tractor with the 2 little front wheels and the 2 big wheels. And he's got a pair of overalls on. His hat's a little askewed.
Yeah.
Chewing on a piece of ginseng.
That'd be Lisa's grandpa that you just described.
Oh, wicked! So, yeah, that's the guy I know.
Yeah, that's her.
No, but that's the farmer I know.
Yeah, Frankie.
But I've never heard where he's sitting there in front of a bank of computer screens.
I tell you,
trading all day.
Yeah,
that's
the truth.
Things just get anything in our world seems to get a little bit out of control anymore. You know, everything's got to go so fast. I always say we live in the rat race of the world.
Speaking of fast, can we talk about your truck?
Sure.
Sorry, van.
The van. You got to.
There's another one.
Absolutely, you got to send me a picture of your van, because I want to put it up on the podcast right where we're talking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I got it on my phone.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, we're grabbing some brewskis.
Perfect.
Van, yeah, that van is friggin' sweet, man.
I've had that thing for 30 years.
30 years. What is it exactly?
It's a 65 Econoline heavy duty.
65 Econoline.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bought that thing in September of 95 or October of 95. I put a starter on it and a set of tires, and I drove to California.
Wow. Yeah. No way.
Yeah. 3 months plus, about 13 or 14,000 miles. Did the Rockies, did the Hoover Dam, did the Grand Canyon, hiked it. Did Death Valley, California, Devil's Cornfield, New Mexico, New Orleans, all that stuff.
And you have a bed in this van when you did
Yeah, we
that?
just had a little platform in the back. It was me and a buddy from college that we just jumped in it and said, screw it. So we'd just camp everywhere, anywhere.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Eating your ginseng.
Yeah.
A couple of guys.
That was the winter before I met Lisa.
Okay.
And then I took her on our first 2 dates in that van, and then I stored it away for almost 20 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So when you got the van, it didn't look like what it does.
No,
today.
it was all original. It had the big 6 in it and green, and just putted along.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, it was a long drive. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's wicked.
It was a long drive.
I've driven out to California.
Have you?
Yeah, but it was in a Mazda Protege 5. It wasn't as fun.
Might be a little bit more comfortable than what I drove in.
Maybe, I don't know.
But not as cool.
Yeah, there
Certainly
you go.
not as cool, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a 65
Yeah.
Ford Econoline.
Yeah.
Is that the stock length?
Yeah. Yeah. Because there was short ones and long ones, right?
Copy.
I don't think the long ones came in until I think 66. You could start to get an extended one,
Okay.
and they'd, you know how you'd seen the vans, and they'd weld another 1.5 feet on the back of it, type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was 66, maybe.
That is so cool. That's such a beautiful truck.
Yeah, it was fun. I always thought if I was gonna make a Hot Wheels one, I was gonna do one of them. So, since I'd had that one for so long, we did that one. Hindsight being 2020, you know, it's a lot of body to cover,
Yeah.
and it was in pretty rough shape.
Yeah.
But she was always getting driven hard, and I think in 2014, I pulled it out of storage, and me and my buddy Wes rebuilt 289, and we put that in instead of the 6. So that's when things kind of started to change. But then when we did the body, I put a 5-link and, you know, our 4-link in the rear end and coil over in the front and made it drive better.
Yeah.
Some power steering was nice. Power brakes were nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is nice.
Power steering and power brake. That's funny.
That's nice. Nice options.
Do you drive it much?
Yeah, I mean, we drive our stuff, you know, and when the guy built it, he knew me well enough. I said, no, TJ, you know I'm going to drive this thing. And he says, oh, I know. So when I left the parking lot the first time, I left sideways.
Sweet.
So we drive
right.
them. Yeah, you have to. I mean,
Yeah, of
You're
course.
talking
I
to three
totally
guys here
agree.
that really appreciate
yeah.
sideways.
Yeah,
It'd be like buying a nice house with a pool and saying, don't swim in the pool.
Yeah. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
Pool clean, yeah, don't wreck
Yeah.
it.
That's silly.
Now I'm with you.
Like I have a 56 Ford pickup.
Yeah, I
and
seen that.
Yeah, and I drive it.
Absolutely.
I drive it, man. It's
Yeah.
and it looks like I drive it.
Yeah. And 1 year only. 56.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the 1 year only, right? That's like
No,
when I sold
well,
Peter.
They have a 53 to 56. They all sort of look alike, but 56 the first year they got the wraparound window.
Yeah, the wraparound glass.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it does have its own sort of vibe.
It
Yeah,
does.
right.
It does. It's a one that wraparound windshield is a 1 year only.
Didn't it go to 57? See, I don't even look at
No,
57.
the fenders, and I think the front and the box were, but I'm pretty sure that 56 with the wraparound was a 1 year only of that specific style of truck.
Okay.
57 might have a bit more of that.
57 got boxy.
Yeah. I'm not a historian of cars. I just like them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I like all styles. I'm a Ford guy, but I don't care what it is.
Especially if they got power steering.
Yeah, power steering, power brakes is
Yeah.
good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got a bit of a collection going on.
Yeah, I'm a Ford guy through and through.
Yeah. Well, we are too.
I got my van was my first one, right? But back in the day, I had I guess my first car my dad bought me was a '79 Mini Cooper.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
it was a great little car, right?
Yeah, it's
And then I don't know, my brother must have had a weak moment because he traded me the Mini Cooper for his '68 Firebird. And
okay.
yeah, it was a bit of a rust bucket, but it went real fast with a big block. And then once that blew up, I sold that to a buddy. And I think after that, I had a '79 Pace Car Mustang, those little gray pony cars. Remember them?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I got rid of all them, but I never lost the passion. So I got my van first, and then I got a '62 Falcon wagon, the 4-door black one that was in the film.
Yeah, you have that there right now. Yeah, that's a sweet little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that.
And then the '68 country sedan wagon, the big green one.
Oh yeah,
That's a beast. That's a 390 in that one. I love that thing.
But people actually drove those things in the day. They actually bought those things, took their families out in that. It's a hell of a car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, this thing was Washington State, so all I could imagine was the guy loaded up his family in that thing and drove them across the states a couple of times, you know.
Yeah.
That's
so
Yosemite
cool.
Sam maybe or something like that.
Yeah, that's sick.
So speaking of curved windshields, so I did look up just now
Yeah.
a '57 Ford F100. See how boxy it got?
Yeah, it did.
But it does have that wraparound.
It does
it
have the
does.
wraparound on it, eh?
Yo, it really changes though. I like
yeah,
it. though.
the
crazy.
66. That's a 50,
57.
57 then. So the front changed a lot on it then, eh?
Yeah, it did big time. You can see the
You can see the similar grill.
Yeah.
The Ford flash on the front of the hood. But
So is it that 56 was just a one-off year of the total style overall, I wonder?
nope, 53 to 56.
It is, eh?
Yep.
Okay.
The fat fendered Ford with the
Gotcha.
step side with the fenders.
Okay.
And
But
I
that-
think the 55 and 56, I think, are a couple to 3 inches, maybe 4 inches deeper in the cab. Mm-hmm. They had the inside.
because the 56 is a fair amount bigger than the 53, right?
That's what I mean. So they had a flat, angled windshield, and then they had the triangular no drafts.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
doors, where I have the vertical.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, out of the 4, the 56 is the cat's ass.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know what? It's the hot rod of them all.
Yeah, it's probably the most popular of the 4.
Isn't that what Sylvester Stallone drove?
His is a
Yeah.
55, I believe.
Yeah,
Was it?
and
believe
Cher used to have an all black 56.
What movie was that? Stallone was driving that thing.
The Expendables. Yeah.
No, not even that one. It was an older movie of his.
Oh, really?
It was the cop that was a badass cop.
Cobra.
Cobra.
Cobra, there
Thank
we
you,
go.
Blair.
Man in the Corner. That was a good
Okay.
movie. I got to remember to watch
Was that the
one
same
again.
truck as Expendables, or was that just like an earlier version of it, or was that a 56? Or?
I don't know, Glenn. Was that the same truck, you think? I thought it was something like, I thought it was a Ford in the 50s. I thought it was.
Yeah,
it sure looks
probably.
like, matter of fact, it sure looked like that truck he drove in the Expendables. Maybe.
Yeah,
it
that
was
one
like
is a fucking sweet truck.
That's a sweet
oh
truck.
my god.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Anything lowered down with good suspension anymore.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
I got a couple of project ones, and I don't know what I'll ever do with them, but I got he's on my Belgium side, so we'd call him our bon papa, but my grandpa on my Belgium side.
Okay.
I never did meet him. He died before I was born. But in 68, he took his youngest son, my Uncle Danny, in to buy a car. So my Uncle Danny bought a 68 Cutlass S with the 350 rocket. Still
Yeah,
has it to
sweet.
this day.
That's
What
a
year?
sweet car.
68.
68. I had a 71.
Nice.
Yeah.
My brother had a 72 Supreme with the vinyl top.
Yeah, mine was a 71 Supreme with a vinyl top.
Yeah, there you go. So his was my Uncle Danny's 68 is the fastback on it.
Oh, wow.
And at the same time, my bumpa bought a 67 Del Monte 88. So Del Monte was like the poor man's version of the Delta 88, and it was only made in 67 and 68. So he bought that. He drove it for a bunch of years. He sold it to a fella. My bumpa died, so my uncle bought it back, and he kind of partially restored it. And then it sat in the barn forever. So one day he gave it to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm taking that, man.
So you have that now?
Yeah,
Oh, wicked.
but it's one of those, it'll take a lot to get it back on the road. But it was a 425 big block Super Rocket.
Fucking right, man.
Yeah, be a cruiser. It's 17. We measure cars now because I seem to get ones that are longer and longer. It's 17 foot 8 inches long.
Wow.
Yeah, it's almost as long as that 68 Country sedan wagon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like by
Big.
inches.
That's a big
crazy.
car, man.
Can you imagine?
Oh yeah,
That's what I love. I like the boats.
yeah.
I
They
love
cruise
those big
nice.
cars,
Give your
yeah.
keys to your wife, and she goes down to the grocery store with that, and parks
Yeah.
it.
Well, everybody
They
else
don't even make parking lot
No.
spots that big.
No, yeah. Everybody else is gonna get a scuff.
How long's an F-150?
An F-150.
The average
I don't
pickup
know.
truck.
I don't know.
I
Question.
I don't know. Probably with 4 doors and a box on it, it might be close to that. You might be pushing
Yeah.
16 foot.
Wow. That's a big car.
Yeah, big cars.
Yeah, man. Well, those old Lincolns and stuff, they don't love them. You know, yeah, those Continentals, and the Mark V's or whatever. My favorite car is like the Lincoln Mark II, which is I think there's only 2 years. Can't even remember what it is.
Like what year are you thinking?
56.
Oh, that
something
year.
like that. It's
going
like
back
it's
then.
old,
Yeah.
the Mark II, way back, and it had the big wheel on the back,
Yes.
covered in with the body,
On the spare.
Yep.
something
on
like
the-
that.
on the
Yeah, on the
trunk lid?
spare.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I want to lower one of those and
He wants to
know.
drive around with music playing and
Absolutely.
Cypress Hill and
being game.
It's Cypress Hill.
yeah,
man.
I
There
want
you go.
to I want to go straight Southern California. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
both
But by the same
motorcycles
token,
and
I was going to say the
cars.
same thing
Yeah.
with the motorcycles. You see,
Yeah, same deal.
Really big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you ride, right?
Yeah,
You got a couple.
Yeah, I want a Softail Deluxe Harley, and I want to do exactly what they do
Yeah.
in the Southern California region.
Like, is that getting into an older year bike?
No,
Like, I'm not even really.
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. But it's got that classic look to it, and it's got the long dually style left and right pipes
Yeah.
way out the back.
Like, is it more like a bagger style type deal? Or
it's
not?
it's a bagger. Yeah,
to some degree, it's a soft tail. So
to some degree. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
got that. It's the platform that most of those guys make those bikes on
Yeah.
because they're lower, long.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
the
like
long-
it's not like a Decker where it's got like the big
Fairing.
fairing. It's not like a cop bike.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of got an old school look to it. And yeah, I don't know how else to explain it, but they're fucking beauty.
What years would they be in? Like, would they be 90s, this type styles, those? Or?
All the way up to now.
Really?
Yeah.
Within
Oh,
reason.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the newer bikes, the new Harley bike. I was just in a Harley shop 2 days ago, and
Well, they're trying to appeal to some new market, but they're fucking their old market.
yeah,
They're making guys that have been riding Harleys for 40 years embarrassed to ride Harleys.
you know,
You know?
Harley Davidson's a cultural thing,
Yeah.
and it's I understand that the market is between people Andrew's age and my age. I get that, and they have to appeal to a younger audience coming in. So new bike guys are going out and buying whatever they buy. I don't care what they buy. I only know of one motorcycle.
Yeah.
But anyway, I
they are
don't like the paint schemes. I don't like the colors. I don't like.
Yeah, they're finding like a middle world between
you can't even.
sport bikes.
I don't even
and
think you can buy a
cruising.
Decker anymore with normal straight stock handlebars. They're all 8 inches, maybe 10 inches.
Oh, with the
really?
risers on.
Yeah, they're all putting little baby apes on.
Yeah.
This is how they're coming stock.
I like how those isn't it Triumph that's kind of doing a repop of those old Triumphs from the 70s and 60s, just those little like flat seat kind of lean into style, the short bars.
I don't know. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
You know, like that style, I mean, from like the
I do.
60s and 70s.
Yeah, it's like a mid with the long seat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
those are sweet.
Looks like an old Honda CB350 or something like that.
Yeah, those are cool, man.
450.
We my wife and I go out to this pub near us and we play trivia on some nights, and there was a fellow out there with a 1970 750 Norton Commando.
Cool.
It was so fun to see. It's just a fun bike to see. And he couldn't get it started. We helped him put it on a truck, and he went home. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's fun to
The
see.
old Nortons are cool.
Yeah, and there was a couple of little spots of oil under it. It was great. Marking its territory.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of cars and stuff,
Sorry.
we want to come out, shoot some ripping around on your roads there.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's do burnout.
But you've entertained the idea of using your property and your buildings for filmmaking,
Yes.
and I think it's a great idea. And a couple of our friends have shot on your property already.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, one of our guests actually, Kim McKenzie.
yeah, Kim's a great guy.
He's a
Yeah.
fucking great dude.
I personally don't like him very much.
Yeah.
How can
know,
you not?
I know. When I first met Kim,
Yeah.
he was serving at a local rib restaurant.
Yeah.
And he was so gregarious. He's so out there talking to my wife and I and another friend that was with us. I said to him, I said, you should be an actor. And he goes, well, I am. I said, no. You're an idiot. You should be. And he goes, but I am. I said, what kind of acting? So he told me. I said, are you joking? So I gave him my card. I said, send me your stuff, man, because I will hire you. And, Which I have now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
great.
actually how we met. That's how I met Kim.
Yeah.
We became buddies was he hired him. I was on the same show. And long story short. But
lovely,
What a
lovely man. Don't like him much, but he's
What
lovely.
a talented dude, though, eh?
yeah.
I mean, he
Yeah.
picks up a guitar and you're like, you son of a.
Yeah, I know.
Be so good at that and everything.
Well, I hate to brag, but I'm way better. So
Are you? There's some business cards.
Yeah,
on the
oh,
other side of
beautiful.
the
Let me have
logo
one.
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Flip them over there. They got a nice backside to them.
Oh, sick. Oh, these look great.
Whoops. Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Spread the word.
play guitar and obviously you skated too, did you?
Yeah, I've been a skateboarder and a guitar player for a long, long time.
Nice. I keep on trying to learn guitar, but I've found that my 4-string ukulele has a lot less confusion. So I taught myself to play a little bit of ukulele.
Yeah, that's okay. I love a ukulele.
But like the baritone uke, so it's not got the high string and the 2 and the high
okay.
string, what
Oh,
I mean?
really?
Yeah, it's like the
Oh,
bottom.
interesting.
It's the bottom 4 strings on your guitar. So
Does it start
minus
with an
your
E?
top 2
An
bass.
E string, you know that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Frankie.
Okay.
Frank,
cool.
maybe.
That's cool. And you play some Hawaiian tunes in your
No, I just kind of learned to strum, and I got about 5 strums that I use, and that's it, right?
He and Lisa jump into the Econo van and
Yeah, away we
go
go.
to the back 50.
That's hilarious.
That's so good.
Yeah, I've been playing guitar since I was 15 or something.
How the hell did we get onto guitars from movie studio?
I don't know, Kim.
I don't know, but whatever.
Oh,
Talk
Kim.
about Kim.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
always changing the subject.
I know.
But
So
No,
yeah,
whatever.
movie studios.
yeah, so I mean, people might be interested.
Well, I mean, you guys have been out to the farm. You've seen the buildings and the space that we have.
Yeah, it's
right?
incredible.
And the thing with farming is, you need all this space, but in all reality, you need it for about 3 months out of the year. When your harvest comes in, you've got to store your product. You've got to, like for us, we do a wash line, and it goes and dries. It comes back, we grade it, we bag it, or package it, and it goes out. But otherwise, these barns sit there, and they basically end up being storage, And when you know what happens when you have storage, it gets more and more and more full.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the one loft you showed us, the one that's fairly
old barn?
precarious, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Just a beautiful set.
Yeah.
I can see that being shot. It's
Yeah.
so cinematic. It's gorgeous. But then you have a couple of big buildings where prospective filmmakers could actually build sets in.
Yeah. Like, I think overall, with all the buildings included, just on the home farm, because there is 2 other properties, but I think on the home farm, there's just under 35,000 square feet of space under roof. So it's over like 5-6 buildings, basically.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Like really, it's a mini MGM Grand. You could have 3 different productions going on at the same time.
Okay, so,
4 productions at the same time.
I was thinking about, I don't know about you, and you could, just correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these major studios or major productions, they take up all the studio space in Toronto. I don't know how eager they would be to come out to your property. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But for the independent world, Kim and his production is very, very independent. And then there's a huge spectrum of what independent filmmaking really means. And I have no doubt, including us, we're showing obvious interest in coming out there. Your space is absolutely incredible. The one thing though that it happens to lack is places to rig from, or
Yeah.
Oh,
or
like a
something.
grid. Well,
Yeah, like a grid.
but the thing is, we could build that. Like,
Right. Yeah, you have high ceilings in a lot of your buildings.
You and I had spoke about this, about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
actual gridding, and I got the more you
I want to talk about it on here because there's going to be
Yeah.
people watching this that
Yeah.
will show interest. I have no
So
doubt.
the one thing I thought about when you were saying about the rigging and all that, and like Lisa and I have said, as we get people come in, if they say, well, we need this or we really need this, if we find it's constant, we'll invest into it. Like I did before when we kind of dabbled the idea of this, I was actually going to curtain that one big barn on 2 sides of it just for sound and everything else, right?
okay.
Can we mention where you are and all that stuff?
Absolutely.
I'll put it
You're
up.
out in Vanessa,
Yep.
right? You're literally across the road from the beautiful
Vanessa
Vanessa
Meat Market.
Meats. Oh my God, man!
Great store.
With a
yeah.
hell,
Shout out
of,
to
hell of a
Vanessa Meats.
T-bone, man. But you have enough room to have an entire Honeyland, all the trucks.
Everything. Everything.
You had guys sleeping on the property there and all
Yep.
that stuff. It's absolutely incredible. There should be no qualms with anybody talking room.
Yeah, the space is there.
Is there a hotel nearby?
Well, the Simcoe's 15 minutes. They've got 2 hotels.
Oh yeah, right up the road.
We just had a commercial shot last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and the guy came in from Florida. The one fellow that was the I don't know
Director,
what you call him.
DP.
Yeah, I think so. Dara was involved in that one too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think I just saw his post. Yeah.
yeah, and so that guy came in from Florida, and he just drove down the road, went up the highway towards Brantford, and stayed at the Suites. He said it's perfect. I'm 20 minutes away.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've been on a lot of locations, and I've had to drive 45, 55 minutes to get to my hotel from location. So having hotels within a 30-minute
Yeah,
span is nothing.
Well, too, I mean, you're out. You're not even. There's no traffic.
no. It's what I say. It's a guaranteed 25-minute drive.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful.
Right.
It's a
know?
beautiful.
And it's a beautiful
It's
area
a
to be
beautiful drive.
Yeah,
That's the truth.
It's not like you're
know?
pulling out the laneway in Toronto at Tri Brothers and going, okay, apparently it's just 20 minutes this way, and
Yeah.
it's at 5 o'clock. There's
Oh,
no
fuck.
20 minutes in Toronto.
No.
Andrew and I
Doesn't
took a
fucking
meeting.
exist.
We
No.
took a meeting a couple of months ago, and we were downtown Toronto, and it took us 4 hours
Yeah,
to get home.
yeah. I used to work downtown Toronto and did all that nonsense underground stuff. And I used to drive back and forth from Otterville every day just so I didn't have to stay there. And we'd drive to Mississauga, get in a truck, and then I'd drive right down to Union Station every day.
Oh
enough.
yeah.
There shouldn't be a rope store anywhere in Toronto.
A rope store?
Yeah. People, I mean, I'd hang myself if I had to live.
I see what you're saying. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't know where
I mean,
so it's,
yeah, I went to.
I'm keeping that one.
I went to
You can have it.
I went to Pinewood Studios just in November.
Right.
I had a job
Right.
out there. So Pinewood Studios down on Commissioners, and Cherry Street Road there is all under construction and whatnot. On the holiday Monday, I went there, and it took me like an hour, which was incredible from here. And it was probably the fastest time I'd been in and out of Toronto in 20 years, at least. And just 3 days later, I had to go back to the same studio, and it took me about 3 hours to get there and 3 hours to get home.
Yeah.
Unbelievable amount of time on the road just to go.
And if you take a wrong turn, there's insanity.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left. We were doing, because when I worked for that same company, we'd do construction for them sometimes, and we helped build the Hard Rock Cafe at the bottom of the tower there. You know. Remember
Oh,
it
yeah.
used to be the
Yeah,
Hard
yeah.
Rock Cafe. I
Right.
don't know if it still is or not. I left there and got up on the Don Valley Parkway. I was like 2 hours getting to the 401 on ramp, and I took the wrong one.
Oh, fuck that. That's where you need that rope store.
The things we learn. Just take some rope with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell you, man.
Yeah, man.
Insanity. It's a crazy city. I think going back to studios, I think this has always been our biggest concern with it, knowing that it's going to be our biggest trials and tribulations, is getting people from Toronto to realize we're not that far.
They already shoot there.
Yeah,
They shoot in
exactly.
Brantford. There's a movie shooting, a TV series shooting in Cambridge
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah,
Handmaid's Tale is always here.
yeah,
People have learned that shooting outside
yeah.
the circle of Toronto is beautiful.
More and more.
And it's happening more and more.
I'm shooting in Woodstock for my first time
Nice.
in like 2 weeks.
What are you shooting?
It's a good question.
I'll know when I get
You know
there.
what? I'm not even sure if I should see it or say it out
there
loud.
you go.
But
Yeah,
No, that's
No.
cool though.
But yeah,
There's
I am
another one that
shooting-
was just shot
yeah.
in Woodstock. It was about the Woodstock hangings, and that's from a lady who actually grew up in Woodstock.
okay.
Geez, Farrah Foster, I think
Okay.
is her name. I don't know much about her. Just kind of learned it through a friend.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, so filmmaking it's happening everywhere, and
Yeah.
people are doing it all the time. They're
Yeah.
going out of town, so there's no reason why they can't take advantage of your.
well, the motto's kind of, once you get there, the hard part's done.
100%.
Because, your hardware stores are 20 minutes away. Your hotels are 20 minutes away. You've got the freedom of the country. You know, you're not buried in permits if you want to do something off that property. You know, we have 60 acres of bush at our place to shoot in. They're doing that 48-hour film challenge
Yeah.
that they have.
Yeah.
So the one fellow's shooting that on May 3rd at our place in the bush for, I think it's a horror flick or something.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you have pictures and everything on the website?
Yeah, on the website, Tara there, Kim's lady.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she's taking
great.
care of our social media and everything. 'Cause
Oh, sick.
I'm not a techie fella.
So for those that are listening, people can go to www.frankiesstudios.ca, FrankieSstudios.ca, FrankieStudios.ca, and check it out because it's a great facility.
Yeah,
Yeah, Frankie's is Frank space E.
it's kind of a tongue. It's kind of a twister when you spell it. But
But that's Grandpa's.
yeah. Well, her grandpa's name was Frank Edwin Hill.
Okay.
So every time he signed his name, he put it Frank E. Hill. And I always called him Frankie.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
cool.
he was around until about 09. I think he passed. Him and his wife both passed at like 91. But he was like the last one of the good old boys. You know, just true old farmer boy and as true as the dirt. You know, it's a great guy. So that's why we tributed the store to him.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he's he was Lisa was really, really close to him. And he was the epitome of a grandpa, you know, because that's hard to find some days anymore. You know, but he was the epitome of a grandpa for Lisa and her sisters and that. So he's a good guy. Yeah, my kids knew him a little bit. They were very young, but they knew him a little bit.
Nice.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It was nice. Good dedication.
Yeah.
And I understand Lisa's walking around Cambridge right now doing a
Yeah,
little shopping.
probably went
going-
for a coffee and read a book.
Let's go. We got good coffee
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, like the studio thing, we have all this space. We looked at it, and I looked at different things for renting out space and all this nonsense, and it was like, you know what? And I've always been into. I love film. I love movies. I've always been into the arts. I like creating stuff. So it's one way we can kind of get it all around us in the same thing and fill some space. And
Well, what I kind of dig about it, for anyone who's sitting in their cars and not on their cell phones looking this up, you got a little bit of roadway going through there. Mm-hmm. You got. Do you have corn?
last year we had corn. This year beans. Next year corn. So it
Okay.
rotates. Yeah.
Okay.
You have a pond
But you
Yeah,
got that
nice
going
big
along.
pond. Yeah.
Yeah.
and the forest.
Forest. Yeah.
And all your buildings in there, those are all. It kind of. I don't know if you can do it this way, but it seems like a little bit of a town in a
Yeah.
way that you
Yeah.
can.
You can drive through it. You can. Yeah. I
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
you're
and
saying.
you could, I keep thinking of like SWAT guy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a guy's creeping through there looking
Well,
for somebody.
What's interesting?
It's cool.
Industrial warehouse ish.
Yeah, yeah,
Really,
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Good idea.
Like a little town. What were you gonna say?
I don't know. No, I was going to say when I first saw the property, and you took us on the tour and walked around everywhere, it didn't look like a Mennonite's farm from Witness, but the movie Witness
Yeah.
coming into my brain, where the cops show up with the guns and the cars and whatever, and people are milling around the buildings and whatever, and there's all these guns. Believe me, when I saw your property, my mind was swimming with possibilities.
I mean, with the right signage and stuff, you could turn that thing
Yeah.
into like a little city. It's
Oh,
cool.
you should. You could for sure. Yeah. And on top of that, like that's the home farm. It's 150 acres. And the two other farms are both 100 acres each, just, house and a simple barn. But there's 200 acres there that, somebody wants to build something.
Sure.
Yeah, you got a
know?
whole lot of land.
A whole lot of land. Flat land, rolly land. We got land at the one farm that has a creek running through the back of it. It's really nice.
So you're gonna use all your
Everything-
different
anything anybody
spots.
wants to use.
Okay.
Yeah, our house is up for use, and it's a unique kind of deal. It's a straw bale build, so it kind of looks very Santa Fe,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's straw bale, all natural plaster, and brick inside. on something. Like I don't have an inch of drywall.
So it
the
almost
whole
looks
thing.
south.
Yeah, it's very Santa Fe kind of style.
So if we have any
That's
of our
neat.
locations for this listening or watching,
Yeah,
go on the website, and I'll put the website up on the screen
yeah.
right here. Right. I don't know where.
Right now.
And yeah.
And it gives a great view of the home farm, like with the drone shots and that. But we don't have any footage yet of like our house, the other two farms, and we have a lot of buildings and a lot of other buildings. Like we built a 15-man bunkhouse a bunch of years ago, right? And for the indie, I think it would work because it would be combined living. It's a 5-bedroom, but we have 2 beds in each room. And then the bathroom is like a commercial bathroom. So you have 3 shower stalls, 3 toilet stalls, 3 stoves, 3 fridges.
No, that's fun.
But it's one great big, it's a 40 by 60 building that, if it was needed for housing or whatever. And we also have another house that can be used for housing. If it's indie film, I think it's easier if you get a bunch of
A bunch of kids come out and stay together and
yeah,
let's make our
I
movie.
think, I think
Yeah.
it'd be okay like that. I don't know for the higher end stuff if they'd go for that kind of thing, but whatever.
They bring that stuff with them.
Yeah, exactly. And we got all sorts of space to hook up your honey wagons and your trailers, makeup trailers.
Like to me, that's what matters. I mean, they'll bring bathrooms and all the trailers
Yeah.
and stuff, and I mean, independent sounds small, but I mean, some of the biggest pictures in the world are independent.
Yeah.
We work on stuff like that all the time. And they have huge honey lands, and they bring all that stuff.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Anyway,
And you have room.
Yeah, we got the building area or whatever, the grassed area we call it, is about 10 acres at the home farm. That has all the buildings and the house and the grassed areas and that, so there's lots of room.
oh wow, oh my god.
Yeah. And the Frankie store is always there, kind of as the green space, the hangout space.
Yeah, not to
no,
mention,
that's a great space.
and you got a ton of props.
Yeah.
You got a ton of stuff that we can use as props, right?
Anything, man. We got a barn full of. I got a bad habit of picking up 60s and 70s furniture on the side of the road. I don't know if it's a bad habit, and Lisa thinks it is. But I have a lot of stuff. I collect a lot of things.
Yeah, I get it.
And farm equipment, the old farm equipment, the new farm equipment, buildings that are, just full of old stuff. They're kind of nice for locations,
Yeah.
depending on what you're shooting. Because like the one guy said, he said, do you know what it would take us to make a building look like this inside?
100%.
Ours has looked like that for the last 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a lot of those kind of, and that's kind of got my mind thinking about it. We have open space to somebody can set up studio and keep it there, whatever, for a short series, or we have things that you can just walk in, say this is the location we need, this is what we have, You're and we can clean them out, we can do whatever, we can dress them up, whatever you want.
Yeah, we should do a commercial. That was a good commercial.
We're very accommodating. That's one thing Lisa and I can do. We can accommodate anything. Like when those guys came and shot that film, the only thing they brought was for their props was their pencils and the Cricut. Everything else was from the farm. The fridge, the desk, everything that you seen in there besides their wardrobe and the live Cricut and some pencils was ours.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool, 'Cause it's, we need something like this. Well, let's go to the tickle trunk and see what we got.
Is it finished? Did they edit it up?
Yeah, it's all, and they've sent it out to some festivals. I don't
Okay.
think we've heard back yet, but
Sweet.
Very good.
From what I've seen, it looks great.
I was blown away how professional it looked when they did it. I was like, I don't know
Sweet.
anything about making a film, but this is cool, man.
But it looks good.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they look. It does look good from what
yeah,
I've seen.
we really wanted to be a part of it too, because to me it's the best marketing we could ever have. I'm not a marketer, I'm not a techie fella, so that to me was like the best marketing we could ever have. The project that those guys did.
Yeah, right on.
Turned
Yeah,
out
absolutely.
the final report. Best. Yeah.
I love it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, riding motorcycle out there and all that stuff. It's beautiful. Everybody obviously in our line of work, they all try to get toward Toronto, but as soon as they get toward Toronto, they
They all move out.
all start to move out. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to live like Toronto. then, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I mean, if you're like a single guy, sure, Toronto, tons of ladies,
Things to do.
and tons of shit to do. Yeah, but when when you're not, fuck it, man. It's so beautiful out here.
Yeah.
And our lifestyle, Ian really doesn't dictate that we be downtown Toronto. I don't need it every day. I can be on my motorcycle in the country in 3 minutes.
Yeah, if I was a crew member on a show, working 5-6 days a week, it's one thing.
Yeah.
But it's not how we do it. Sometimes the weeks are busy like that, sure, but whatever, hotel for a few days, not a big deal.
No, that's right.
Nice to come back this way. I'd like to move out closer to Blair. He's even further.
Oh, like out,
Paris-ish area, whatever. But sorry, Blair, I'm blabbing about where you live.
Yeah, gonna have all sorts of stalkers now.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
can we talk a little more about farming?
Absolutely, man.
You mentioned earlier sprays and stuff like that. How has that come along? Just the evolution of it. Is it good? Is it bad? Are we fucked?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. You want to eat real bread? Go to Europe. I'm a gluten-free over here. I can't even look at a piece of white bread.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but I go to
Really?
Europe, and I can eat all the bread I want.
Now, why is
on
that?
end.
Is there no gluten in your?
No, there are no GMOs in theirs. Theirs is all an heirloom wheat. They don't spray it with all the crap that we do. They don't spray it with Roundup. They don't. It's not a GMO modified seed to where it's made to produce more and be bigger and better and
Okay,
more volume.
And now,
What does GMO stand for?
Genetically modified,
Organism.
maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna.
That's
say.
That's horrible.
as soon as you're done genetically modify, you don't need the rest of it.
Yeah, I don't even
That's
like
right.
the word organism.
I don't think there's a plant. There's a crop planted out there anymore that hasn't been GMO'd.
Well, yeah.
And why is that? So
Because they want more volume. They want more volume. With
Money.
More. Yeah, money.
so no, but so
More volume, less disease, more disease resistance.
sure. If we go back to your apple orchard, and you have all those little tiny apples that fall off, get on the ground, or you knock them off. I don't
Yeah.
know what you do. So they're on the ground in order to allow more.
Sunlight and better fruit.
Right. So that's naturally done, and so the GMOs are.
That's naturally done, but the GMOs is more in your you're planting your corn, your soybeans, your rye, your wheats. Those are all modified seed,
Okay.
right? Because they want higher yields with less disease risk, and that you can spray it with Roundup, Monsanto, right? All the crops.
To keep bugs
So
away.
less disease.
That's for weeds.
Oh, weeds.
Roundup is for weeds. Yeah.
Okay.
less disease on the crops, more disease in the human being.
Yeah, it's not good. Like growing apples, it really enlightened me. Anybody growing apples, just close your ears for a minute or two. But eating an apple a day, they say, keeps the doctor away. Man, if you knew the chemicals that were sprayed on those things to make them this, to make them that, to make them this, and it's like bearing fruit like that. When you're spraying it as it's growing, it takes in those toxins.
It's in the fruit.
I'm sorry, but it is.
So in the South right now, you got RFKG here,
Yeah.
taking over the health
He's on a
situation. I imagine you agree with this.
Yeah, I think I've been saying for about 10 years, I think people almost have to revert back to doing a little bit of homesteading because our food system will kill us over here. You know?
Yeah.
You go anywhere else in the world, like I went to France last year with my cousin. I seriously can't eat bread here at all. I can't eat pasta. I can't eat bread. Anything with gluten in it, I can't even touch it. I can't eat gummy bears for crying out loud. But I go over there, and they actually have vending machines on the side of the road that you can get a warm baguette out of for $1.50. An entire French bread. I'd eat one of those every day for breakfast.
Really?
You can swing this in if you want to lean back a bit.
I don't know. That's okay.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So I could eat 2 of those a day and never have an issue. And if I did that at home, I'd be a week before I was normal. It's the crap that they put in our food, man. It's no good for us. It is. I'm sorry, but I mean, you want to like. I mean, you know, I always say to people who say, "Well, I buy organic." If you're getting it at the grocery store, you're not buying a spray-free product, because organic, even if it's an organic vegetables, they're still registered to spray X amount of chemicals on them. That it's okay. They're not residuals, you know. They'll wash off in the rain, so they don't. Like my father-in-law always told me, there's two types of sprays. There's the condom and the pill. There's some sprays you put on, the plant takes it in internally and puts it to the root, and the internals of the plant to protect it. And then the condom, you spray it on there, and it covers it from rain, so it doesn't get mold, diseases, airborne shit like that, you know. And
So there's something being put on everything.
yeah.
So now, correct me if I'm wrong. They talk about free-range chickens. Mm-hmm. You know anything about that? Like, there's no such thing as a free-range chicken because you can't.
Not if it's commercially grown, no.
Yeah, you can't. They can't be outside like.
I don't know what free range or what they can consider free range. I have no idea. Maybe it's that they run around in the barn free. I don't know. Like, I know my one buddy Ben Kungle, works in does a lot of the work inside some of these food factories. He's a vegetarian now.
What? Really?
Mm.
See, when I was just in Costa Rica, and one of my kids mentioned, how skinny the chickens were and stuff, and I went, "Well, that's a real chicken."
Yeah.
Nowadays, we're stuffing our chickens with a bunch of shit to fatten
Oh,
up so
they get
can
so
sell
fat
more
they
shit.
can't even stand. Their legs break.
What the fuck?
Jesus.
This sounds like America.
Yeah, we had a.
What the fuck?
No offense to all you American chickens.
We used to have a place down in Costa Rica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did a renovation down there. We thought we'd try something different.
Jesus.
How'd that work out?
It was awesome.
Yeah, Costa Rica's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I loved it. We were right down in Nasara by Playa Guiones and all that.
Okay.
Nice little, it was when we first started going there.
That's
it was
Atlantic
like-
side? Like bottom, or no, it'd be Caribbean side, up
No,
north?
I think what side it would have been on the same side as what Belize would have been on. So I don't even. I'm so bad.
Okay.
Geography.
Actually, that might be
It was down there a long way.
Pacific. Yeah. no.
Yeah, there was,
It was hot. And,
yeah, there was water about 250 yards out. I know,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was pretty cool. But down there, you see how they eat and how they live and how their everyday function is, and they're all healthy.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
They're healthy.
It's kind of weird how we have this Western way of life where it's supposed to be this buttery, beautiful way of life, and everyone seems to migrate to it, But again, you might argue that that's money. Money is where migration obviously goes.
Well, yeah, we don't know the housing for them, so I don't know what. I guess you do because a lot of these cultures, and I guess we used to do it back in the day, but for some reason I think our culture has gotten into the thing that I want my own space, I want my privacy, I want my family under one roof, And some of these other cultures, they come in and they're okay with 5 different families living under one roof because that's what they're culturally used to.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So it makes that house income to be quite high as compared to the average dude living around here on a house income.
Right.
So I think maybe that's why you find all this influx of.
Well, mass migration is government controlled.
Absolutely.
They need a new population to work, to pay taxes, to afford to pay for all the aging population.
Yeah. Well, they need more taxable bodies for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's all planned.
Yeah. Well, there's that whole theory that was kind of what they pushed through the 60s and the 70s, because up until then it was kind of, one person went to work, mom stayed home with the kids, drove them back and forth to school, soccer practice, whatever. Dad went out and had a single income family. Al Bundy's a perfect example, 40 hours a week at the shoe store, and he afforded a nice little place in the subdivision.
I always envied him. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, he had it right.
Yeah.
And you can't, I mean, there is no that anymore. And then in the 60s and 70s, you know, they thought it'd be better if everybody went to work. Well,
Yeah.
they made sure there was 2 taxable bodies in that household.
So do you think RFK has the power to get this going?
I don't know. There's,
Think we can be saved over here?
again, when you talk about money, when it's these big companies that are controlling the food and
Yeah.
how things are done. I mean, they control the industries that feed them money.
Now, is our soil itself, is it fucked?
No, our soil's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people say that. They say that based on what's being sprayed, that
Well, I
the
think there
soil
is-
itself is getting screwed.
I think that, I mean, there could be an argument to that, you know, because I think, I don't know what the chemical is, but there's one that you can spray on corn ground, I think it is. Again, I act as a pretty good farmer and I can talk a good show, but I don't know some of the stuff.
No problem.
And I'm just starting to grow cash crops now. Like the corn that you've seen on the farm was the first corn on that farm since 1981.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm learning. But there is a chemical that you can spray. It's like a weed chemical. And that's supposed to be like in the soil for like 2-3 years or something like that. I don't know really much about it. So there are some things that hang on. And, you know, there's some things in the fertilizers, the dry fertilizers, you know, that you get on all the little balls of fertilizer. There's ones of those that I can't remember the name of them either, but they'll stay in that little pink ball form in your soil for 12, 15 years. You'll be able to dig them up and see them.
Jesus.
Wow.
And what does that do?
It's just a fertilizer. It's just a coated fertilizer, so it just stays there and slowly puts off, I guess, I don't know what happens after it's done putting
Right, but
off.
it's a chemical.
It's fertilizer, yeah.
It's not cow poop.
No, it's not cow poop. No. I mean, look at some of the biggest businesses around there, the people that supply the farmers with the stuff they put on the crops.
For their own sake.
It's just
their own
business,
benefit.
right? It's
Yeah.
business,
100%.
you know?
Man.
Yeah.
So what about meat? Do you know much about meat? I mean, is it better for me to eat my cow than to eat my asparagus because of this situation?
I don't know. I guess that's all to human development and, you know, what suits your body,
sure.
right?
Sure.
I know for me, I love a carnivore diet. I can
Same.
do that for
As
a
do
week
we.
or a couple
Same.
of weeks, and then you throw some stuff into it.
And although this is controversial, I'm going to argue that most human beings on this earth can survive beautifully on
Yeah.
a mostly carnivore style diet.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
we were designed to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most primitive diet on this freaking earth, as far
Yeah.
as I'm aware.
You know, this lady I work out with over in Woodstock, she's a really nice lady. She put it to me when I said, you know, like, I could survive off carnivore diet. Lisa, probably not. She likes her vegetables. She likes chicken. She likes a lot of veggie, right? I can't eat that much of it. But Karen says, I think a lot of it has to do with your DNA, you know? Where did your tribe grow up? Did your tribe grow up near the water?
That makes
like
sense.
fish and
Yeah.
seafood more.
That makes
Sure.
sense.
Your tribe grew up, you know, more in the Badlands where they hunted, you know, red meats and carnivore eating more. It might affect what you, and I kind of believe that, you know,
I can imagine that.
you know?
Yeah.
And if you think about parts of the world where they don't have either, you know, not a lot of cows, not a lot of chickens running around, well, they do a lot of the rices, the grains, and whatever they catch out of the water type deal.
But considering these sprays and all the other shit, if you know, if you like your beef and you believe in it, or you like your veggies and you believe in them, given what we're putting on our veggies or in our animals, are you getting a more natural product with an animal? Do you know?
Well, I mean, I don't know much about the beef industry, but I know everything that you eat that you get from the grocery store has been injected with antibiotics, with hormones, with this, with that, with
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
But going to Vanessa Meats is probably the best case.
I think so. I mean, at least, you know, they're butchering it down the road. They get a lot of their beef local, you know. It's not, I mean, they pump out a lot of meat there, but they're not commercial. They're not a commercial meat factory.
It's a great
you know.
store.
It is. And the new owners
Those
there,
T-bones?
yeah. Corwin and his
best.
wife, I can't remember his wife's name. Hats off to you. Because we thought about, you know, maybe we'll raise a couple of cows. Well, you go see the price of a young cow now just to buy it. Like it used to be I don't know, about $700 to buy a calf. Now we were looking at it, it's like $1,500 to buy a calf, and you still got to feed it to get it up to 800 or 900 pounds, before you butcher it. It's like, I'm just going to go buy my steak fresh.
Man,
It seems like too much work.
Well, I saw this thing where this guy was talking about how they started injecting back in the 60s or something. They were giving cows vegetable oils.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff, and they were
To fatten them up.
Mm-hmm.
But then they discovered that the cows were having heart attacks halfway through their life.
Go figure.
Yeah, of course, right? Vegetable oils. For anyone eating your vegetable, I mean, fuck. That's the one thing I try to avoid, man. Even if I want a snack, if it says on it sunflower oil or seed oil or veggie oil, I just fucking I put it back.
I cook with beef tallow now.
Yeah,
That's
that's
And
the
you
way
can
to
get
do
it from Vanessa Meats.
beef tallow, just butter,
beautiful.
these things that have been frowned upon for some reason.
Well, that's
for
the bacon
past
grease
so
that your grandma used to keep at the back of the
Exactly.
you know.
My mother
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now RFK has now instituted he's going to get rid of all this.
Yeah, they
other-
just
seed oils?
banned
Yeah, and then he's going to do the beef tallow deal.
and they just banned dyes.
Yeah, the
Colored
food, yeah,
dyes or
'Cause
whatever?
there's certain dyes I think that are worse than other ones. if remember.
I
Like,
imagine,
I think
yeah.
a red's bad or a blue's bad or something.
I
Yeah,
think
the
it's
red
just
one.
ironic that they're called dye.
Yeah. Yeah. No shit.
That should have been a
Unreal.
hint right off the top.
Yeah.
Like it seems like we're on this road to being doomed. But people, I don't understand anyone who looks at RFK and says that this guy isn't a book of health or shouldn't be involved in this. And I know Trump's controversial and all this other shit, but the person that they had prior,
Yeah.
is at least 250 plus or something.
Yeah, that's who you're
And-
going to listen to. And meanwhile, this guy at 70 or 74 can do chin-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
He's built like a
exactly.
brick
All day
shit house.
fucking
Yeah.
long.
I'm going to listen to him.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even understand the
Yeah.
the human mind on that
I don't
at
either.
all.
Because if I wanted to
get
fit
it.
into a shape at 74, it'd be his shape and not the other shape.
Yeah, if you're going to give a choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh man.
But society has brought that along too. That's why there's so much fast food because, again, you got two parents working, people running around. Now everybody thinks their kid's going to be the next Wayne Gretzky or the next Pele or whatever, and they run around to sports 7 days a week, and then they pull into McDonald's, and pull into Burger, and pull into Wendy's. What do you want tonight? Oh, Wendy's, McDonald's.
Which is interesting because growing up, Wayne Gretzky didn't go to McDonald's and neither did Pele.
No, that's just it, right? That's just it. And I'm pretty sure that growing up, those guys, they played a lot of hockey, but it wasn't 7 days a week. And when summer came, they got it off.
I'm no Gretzky, but there's no way that Gretzky didn't like McDonald's nuggets. That shit is.
Well,
Oh, my
at some
goodness.
point when
You
they
want to talk about a McDonald's nugget? I just seen a thing on TV, and it was how they made McDonald's nuggets. Oh my goodness. It looked like when they make candy and it's toffee, and how it rolls, and how they have the big rollers where they send the toffee through and it comes out all flat.
yeah,
Oh my god.
Oh my God, man. If you like McDonald's nuggets, you have to Google video.
no, okay,
It's bad.
I'm sorry, McDonald's.
Yeah, sorry.
You'll never be our sponsor.
No, you got the best fries though.
Best fries, best fucking weird ass nuggets.
Yeah.
You can't argue that shit tastes incredible, but that is where it stops. That's where
Yeah.
it begins and ends.
Yeah.
It's like money, man. It's a superficial thing that we
Oh,
all
yeah.
love, and we all trust in it for some.
And the guilt you
wacky
feel
reason.
after you eat it.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
It's
I
like
always-
it's like a bad penalty. You
I
go to
always-
the box and you feel bad.
Yeah, I always say that McDonald's is the one place that, if you're done at the bar and somebody's like, "Yo, can you give me a ride home?" And you're like, "No, I've been drinking." They're like, "Oh man, I really want McDonald's." You're like,
Okay.
"Okay, I'll drive for that." That's the one thing you'll drive for.
Yeah,
What
but
the
you have
fuck?
to buy me McDonald's, yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Drink responsibly,
Okay.
and then go to McDonald's.
And then go to McDonald's irresponsibly.
So, what about between Canada and U.S.? Are our regulations, are they actually better?
That I honestly don't really know much about it. I don't even know as far as our sprays. I know like I think there's things that the Americans have registered for certain crops that we don't, that there might be something in return we have registered that they don't. I don't really know how that works as much.
Okay.
I would assume there's a difference just like there is everywhere. Again, that's why I'm completely against when products come in from other countries, because as Canada, as growing fruit for Canada, when we were in the apple industry, you started to learn a lot about it. And the regulations and the strictness that we have to go through, there's, I'm not going to remember the name of it, but there's, a GAP program. GAP, stands for something, GAP, can't remember what it stands for, but every year, every 2 years, they say it's just random. They draw a name out of the hat, but it seems like we got it every year. But they come in and they do a government inspection on your facility. So they say, okay, if you're picking apples and somebody's apple drops on the ground, what do you do? Well, you can't pick that up and put it in the bag. You got to stomp on it, right? If a bird flies over and poops on the apple bin, full of apples, well, that whole bin has to go to trash. They say.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's, and I get it for some things, but all that fruit's going in and getting washed, and don't touch. You can't wear gloves while you're picking apples because you can't wash those gloves. Your hands have to be clean. You can't grab the ladder rung with your hands, the same place you've been stepping with your feet, because the apple has to be clean. But meanwhile, they go through and they wash all this stuff.
Does some of this stuff not seem redundant?
Oh, it's awful. Some of it is ridiculous. And then what we have to go through for that, I know that other countries don't have to follow those strict programs with their spray. Like when we sprayed for apples, you have to document every spray that you're putting on, how much, where it was, what time it was, when it was. Your chemicals kind of have to go by that. You can't spray unregistered stuff. So when I was looking at that and how much work that we had to do, and then, you see apples coming in from China. Well, how much government inspection do you think's going on there to, make sure nobody dropped the apple? Nobody.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Wow.
How do you climb a ladder and not put your hands where your feet are?
You got me. It was just ridiculous like that. It's like we're expected to be the poster child of how everybody else in the world should grow food and fruit. Meanwhile, our labor is the highest out of anywhere in the world growing food or fruit, and they don't have near the guidelines and restrictions that we do, and they can just ship their stuff everywhere around the world, and we can't ship ours or even send it to the grocery store unless we've followed the GAP program. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like it really is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I said when we stopped growing apples.
And who's instituting this GAP program?
That's government. It's government.
Whose government?
Ours.
No, but who?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know. It was just, all I know is it's a binder about this thick that every year we had to go through the nonsense.
And when was that instituted? Do you know?
Oh, it's been in for a long time.
A long time.
Have you ever noticed any sort of change or modification between governments, liberal, conservative, whatever?
I'll be quite completely honest. I never really paid much attention until this last 9 years, and shit's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, big time, man.
For a lot of, and yeah, our country is kind of messed up, man. Think about it. We get taxed more than any place else in the world.
Oh, brother.
Like, I don't know how you're expected to make a go of things.
Yeah, and we're probably in for another fucking liberal government.
If that happens, man, I don't know what's going to go on in this country. We'll lose Canada as we know it. It won't
Canada's gone,
anymore.
man.
Yeah, it's already going to have a hard time getting back to where it was, and all I can say is anybody that votes that direction, well, they deserve what's coming to them.
100%.
Because it won't be pretty. It won't be pretty. And I don't know how anybody can actually look at that and say, no, this is a good direction. It's like, and I've always said, I don't care who it is that's running the country. I don't care what color, what backing. I don't care. As long as you're doing it for the better of the people. And that hasn't happened in a long time. And I don't see it for happening.
Well,
All you can do is vote.
You do a little bit of reading, and you can already tell where we're kind of going in a way, and it doesn't seem like we're going very far, but there are a few gazillionaires up there that are going pretty.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do them good.
I'm just interested in knowing, in 2 years, will anyone admit the mistake? Oh my God, I made a mistake.
I don't know.
I don't know.
They'll be too busy working 4 jobs.
Yeah, fuck.
I'm telling you, because how
Yeah,
else are you
and-
going to survive? Like, I know that say you make really good money, you get taxed 40% on your, or 45 or 47% on your paycheck, right? Wonderful, it's great. Then the money that you do make, if you don't invest it back into them on a tax-free basis, or the banks or whatever, well, they're going to tax you on that little bit too that you got. And then you go out to get gas to go pay your tax. They taxed you on that. They taxed you on your groceries. They taxed you on the used car that you bought
And
or
you
that
pay
you
your
sold.
taxes at the end of the year.
And you pay your taxes at the end of the year. So in my mind, I think you probably, for every dollar that you make, you probably give 73 cents back. I mean, when you got HST at 13% on whatever you do, and go buy, like, my old car's there, 68 wagon. I gotta go get the ownership switched next week, and I'm going, I don't know how much taxes that's going to be. Probably as much as the car was new. It's wrong. Like,
It's wrong. That's a great way to put it. It's just
wrong.
wrong.
But see, everybody
I don't-
keeps, yeah.
I don't know how you can sit in that building and say, you know what, this is the best for the people, because it's not. And I use a word that is very very unheard in business, but anytime I do business with people, I just always say, I just want it to be fair. Everybody makes a bit, everybody goes home, everybody's happy, everybody's good with their day, and the country should be the same thing. Run it fair so that
Yeah, you,
average
you would
dude-
think that that happiness would be the number one currency on this earth, but
no,
It's just
unfortunately
not.
it's not. Unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's the thing that you have to work towards, I guess.
I guess.
Accepting and happiness and be happy with what it is, but it's hard to be right now with the way our country's going.
Yeah.
It's not good, in my opinion. I'm not a politician, but I know I don't like it.
Well, now I'm depressed.
Let's talk about fun stuff.
Let's talk about your truck again.
Okay, cool. Did a great burnout when I missed the Waterford car show. So we went home and we did just burnouts.
That's so sweet. It's
Actually,
such a pretty little truck.
Actually, I was talking when we were at the car show there.
Mm-hmm.
A guy from Delhi that writes articles for Old Automobile newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember his name. He come up and bumped into me, and apparently he knew my dad from way back when my dad was alive, and so we got shooting the shit, and he wants to do a story on the van and everything.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Yeah,
for
nice.
automobiles.
Do you have photographs throughout the process of the build?
A few of them, yeah. I have like couple early ones from before. I have a couple early ones of like when I first bought it and drove it out to California.
Yeah.
Some van.
Oh, that's sweet.
I'll
That's
send
good.
some. I'll send a bunch to you.
My buddy's a great photographer. My buddy that I was with, Dave. He's a great photographer. He does cars. Like that's his main thing. He does extreme sports, concerts, that kind of stuff, and vehicles.
Tons of cars.
Tons of cars.
Cool.
And guys share his shit all over Instagram all the time.
Nice.
We got to come out.
Yeah, man. And I actually, throwing around the idea, I said, we should almost throw it out there that if anybody does want to do a car shoot, you could say, like we just did a day at the farm for headshots for some stand-up comedians, some actors, Tyler, Kim, and all them,
Okay, cool.
And I thought, man, it'd be cool if you could organize a day or a weekend for car shoots.
Car meet
That's
of sorts. Oh, car shoots. Yo.
That's interesting.
Yo, where are you, Dave? Dave, listen.
What's Dave's company? Shout out to Dave Levitt.
Yeah, Dave Levitt Photography. Yeah.
Be cool. And we used to have when we had the store, we used to have Frankie's car shows. So we had about 3 of them, but the weather was pending all the time. We had some nice little turnouts, and I thought, you just got to pick one of those long weekends that there's going to be a car show down at the lake, and you just do a random car show.
Do it up.
And just steal all the traffic as they're
Yeah.
heading down towards the lake.
Oh, it's not a bad idea at all.
That's fun.
Yeah, a pop-up car show. Just
Like,
do it random.
Dave and a few other buddies, some of the guys that I hang out with, excuse me, these Bush Lights, man, they're hitting the airwaves. they're into like the Japanese market and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
But they cruise down toward like Flux Brewery all
Yeah.
the time. And
Yeah.
they do like brewery shoots.
Oh,
and
man,
they go
come
around
Shout
the
out
park
to
and stuff.
Flux
If-
Brewery.
Yeah.
in Scotland, Ontario.
And if you ever know the
right.
time they're doing that and doing a tour, if I know advance time, pull in at Frankie's and we can just
fucking right,
have a
man.
hangout, man.
Oh, dude,
Yeah, I want to come.
Yeah.
that'd be so sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm riding though.
Absolutely.
Riding the bike.
I'm in the OF.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We're just rolling the yard on Monday, so it'll be nice and flat, and we got a nice big open space there. I think the best car show that we had, it was our first one. I think we had 45 or 50 vehicles show up the one day. It was cool. Just out of the blue kind of deal. But
Yeah.
And it was in September, so the year's a little later then. But that's when our cider came off, so that's when we did it, you know.
Okay.
But it was cool. It was fun.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, we're running on about 2 hours now here,
Yeah.
and as we start to close up the chit chat,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you'd be into signing the table.
Absolutely. Man.
All right, you'll be the third person to sign the new table, man.
Sweet.
And before you
Yeah,
sign, think about it.
Think about
Consider
Yeah.
Consider.
not just a signature, but you can actually draw a picture.
Yeah, and you can do it anywhere.
And
Just don't do it
cover
over
the scene.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, jeez.
Okay.
I'll just do my signature here because you won't know who it is anyways.
Nope, you're right.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And I'll do my nickname here.
What is it?
She calls you that?
No, this is from growing up. I had quite a troubled childhood.
Ivan,
Had a lot of anger issues.
Does it say Ian or Ivan?
Ivan. That
Oh.
was Ivan the Terrible.
Oh, sweet.
Right through hockey, right through a lot of things. There's probably still some stories that get
Hey.
told.
Maple Leafs won last night, 3-2.
Oh, that's the third, isn't
That's
it?
a third in a row, brother.
Nice.
Yeah, against Ottawa.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah, until about the last round or second last round.
Something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere in there. I know.
Yeah. You know what? It's so weird that they have that. What do you call that? Like a curse of sorts.
Yeah.
But the problem is not that we all believe it's a curse or that it's happening. It's that they believe it.
Yeah.
They go into it going, "Fuck, man, I can't shake this shit out of my head."
Well, there's too many teams
you know,
anymore.
you imagine?
Yeah, true
You
enough.
know?
Yeah.
It's a big
And they could have bought a team years ago, but you know, they still make a lot of money regardless. They don't really care.
right on.
Oh
Yeah.
man, Toronto money, big. Oh.
I'd love to see Winnipeg do something. I loved the Jets when they were out, you know. And they're always fun. Domi started out there. It was nice watching him play when he first started there, right? That's where he started doing the whole when you get in a fight and pound the hell out of somebody, you know. I love watching that guy play.
Crazy.
Oh man.
Ian, thank you for coming down, brother. Appreciate it.
Cheers,
Good to
man.
see you.
Cheers, boys. I
Thank
much
you so
appreciate
much.
it, and thanks so much for the time and helping us market this and push the Frankie Studios
Absolutely.
forward.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I think it's something that people in the arts can come together and have a nice, a comfortable space to do it that isn't rushed and isn't stressful and can enjoy the scenery around them while they do it.
Oh yeah, and bring the barbecue.
You got it.
I'll tell you, these productions, you don't see a barbecue on set often.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they come out your way, they got to bring that barbecue.
Well, when they did the final report, my Jamaicans were up, so we catered to them. We did like a curried goat stew,
Oh my
Oh,
god,
my God.
chicken, everything over the charcoal. It was so good.
I love
I think you
Man.
sold yourself.
me and my girl. We go to Jamaica.
Yeah,
We go there pretty often.
yeah.
I love oxtail
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
everything they do. Oh
Big
my
wings.
god.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
beautiful.
Awesome.
all right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you guys.
Cheers.
Much
Cheers, guys.
appreciate it.
Cut it, Blair.